In order to implement a validating form in CodeIgniter, I'll need three things. First, a controller function that contains the form logic, like processing submitted data. Second, a view that contains the form itself, including a place for displaying messages. And finally, a view for a message that will be shown upon successful submission. Once I have those pieces, I can then add the validation logic. I'm going to create a form to add magazines, and I'll start with a controller. Within NetBeans, open the magazine controller. Let's add a new method for adding a magazine called add. Public function add. Give it a little bit of documentation. Add a magazine. One of the parts of a magazine is the publication. While it'd be great if users could remember database identifiers, they tend to get lazy and need all the help they can get. Therefore, I'll populate the list of available publications on their behalf using the publication model. Start by loading the model. Populate publications. This load model. And I'll give it the publication as the argument. Then I'm going to use the get method, which returns an array of populated models. Publications equals this publication get. Now that I have the data, I'll populate form options. Publication form options equals array. For each of the publications as ID publication, assign the option by ID to the publication name. So publication form options ID equals publication underscore name. When complete, load a view using this load view with the name of magazine underscore form. We'll create the view in a moment. I'm going to pass it an array containing one key, publication form options, assigned to the publication form options. Remember to add the semicolon, then save. I'll add the validation logic later. Next, I'll create the view for the form, so I'll navigate to the Views folder and create a new file called magazine underscore form. Clear out the content, then let's create a form in good old-fashioned HTML. Form method equals post. I'll start with a div and then a label for publication ID with a more human-readable publication name. Start a select tag with the name of publication ID. Select name equals publication ID. Now for a little PHP. Let's iterate through the publication form options. For each publication form options as publication ID, publication name, I'm going to echo an option with a value of the HTML escaped publication ID, followed by the HTML escape publication name, and close the option. Close out the PHP tag at the end, make sure that the select is closed, and the div. That seems like a lot of work for a lowly select list. I wonder if there's a faster way. Anyway, let's continue with the input text for the issue number. Div, then label for equals issue underscore number. For the human readable name, issue number. So for the input, type equals text. The name is issue number. And the value, right now, we don't need any default value, so we'll just leave it blank. And close out the div. The last bit of data that I'll need is the date that the issue was published. So div, then label for issue, date, publication, and then date published as the human readable label. And then again, this will be input type equals text. The name is issue, date, publication, and the value is empty. Close out the div. Finally, I'll add a submit button. Div, input type equals submit. And the value is just going to say save. Close out the div and the form. Save the magazine form. One more piece is needed, the success message. Create a new view named magazine form success.php. I'll just say div class equals alert and then alert-success. We'll say magazine created and close the div. Save the success form. Let's see how it looks so far by switching to the browser and navigating to index.php, magazine, add. I see a very bare-bones form with a publication name select list, text input for issue number and date published, and a save button. Type issue 3 into issue number and click save. And the input has disappeared. We have no logic yet, so it's actually performing perfectly well. It's not very useful on the other hand, so let's add some validation using the form validation library.